My name is Martin Jeffrey, and I am a candidate for mayor for the city of Roanoke. I'll clarify something that I've done minutes ago. I want to start out talking about two things. I'll be 54 years old next month, and I'm a husband to Sharon, my wife. She and I have a 12-year-old Ezekiel, who we just absolutely adore, so proud of, and also have 3 grown children from my previous marriage. One of them had just got married to a young lady with Heather with 3 kids, and he has 3 kids. So between them, they have to have a pretty match. And I have 1 other grandchild, so all total I have 7 grandchildren. And been living in Roanoke. I'm from Oklahoma originally, and been living in Roanoke for 33 years. And since I hit the ground in Roanoke, I think one of the things that's most important for you to understand is that I grew up watching my mother and father engage in community and to advocate on behalf of people who themselves. And they taught me one thing in particular. They taught me, one, is that we have a responsibility to do that, and 2, that we have a responsibility to operate with integrity in the things that we do. Those are the things that they taught me that I have practiced for 33 years in this community. I understand a lot about this community, worked on some very major projects, including providing some key support to the New Horizons Healthcare Clinic, the Wells Avenue realignment that involves some negotiations, serious negotiations with the city regarding property, including rental property. Also, my staff and I pulled together a lot of people, some of the people in this room, or people like yourselves in this room, along with tenants and the city and TAP. And we worked through a rental inspection regime for the city of Roanoke that was good for landlords, property owners, and for tenants, dealing with issues around bad tenants and dealing with issues around bad landlords who make all of you all squeamish at times. But I'm really proud of that work. It led to millions of dollars in improvements in rental stock, and I'm proud of that. One of the things that I'm running for city council because of that, in 33 years, I have come to understand a lot about the city. I have a business degree and a master's degree, a business degree and undergraduate, and a master's degree in human service counseling. And I believe I am thoroughly qualified to provide that leadership, the kind of leadership that Jim was talking about, quite frankly. I believe those taxes are being. But at any rate, I'm running as a write-in candidate. Since we started voting in this country, write-in has always been an option for voters. It's a very official and formal part of our process, and I'm asking you all to consider me as your candidate for mayor. I showed up. We have really, and I say we, I mean myself and have a group of 20 some odd people, a very diverse group in terms of age, and race, and socioeconomic. They make up our campaign team, and we call our campaign One Noke, and it's about bringing Roanoke together. All of us, property owners, big and small business owners, all of our different cultures. We have 140 different cultures living in the city, and this campaign is about bringing people together, but it's also about solving problems. And the reason why both of those things are important is because I believe, and so do they, that the more we bring people together, the more we can solve problems. Bringing property owners like yourself together with neighborhoods in a coherent strategy for solving the problems, we can do some things. One of the things that we created is what we call our Vision 2020. For the next 4 years, we have focused on specific issues, things we think we can get done. Just go to onenote.org. It involves solving the homeless problem, creating a neighborhood development fund, which would help a lot of what you all are doing in terms of the housing stock, and a couple of other things that I'll talk about later. Thank you. I've said on this campaign, during this campaign a couple of times, and I'll say it again until the end, and even after, we don't have a money problem, notwithstanding what Jim raised, and we'll talk about that a little more later, because I do agree with what he said. But what I want to say is we have a vision problem. That the current 7 people on council are wonderful people, but there lacks a overarching vision for what we want this city to be that is inclusive of groups like yours and neighborhoods and so many others. And we've been too busy pandering to a few people, few business interests. You all are small business people, and at Roanoke.org you can read more about what we want to do about developing small businesses, creating more small businesses, making resources available for startups. But this is about a relationship and understanding the value of small businesses that this group doesn't seem to really appreciate. They may understand it, but they don't appreciate it to the point that it's part of the priorities that they're operating on. And that's what I want to bring as mayor to the conversation. Let me say it again, let me exercise my ability to talk fast. Let me say it again. Look, our problem is we don't have vision. There's nobody who wants to stand out. Jim and I agree on pretty much everything he said. There's nobody who wants to stand out and provide the kind of leadership we need. You all will be familiar with this quote: "The emperor has no clothes." And nobody wants to say anything about it. We got the Roanoke Times repeatedly telling us that losing 500 Norfolk Southern jobs and then 200 advanced auto jobs, that's an okay thing, that we've netted jobs. Well, let me tell you, netting a $25,000 a year job is not the same as losing a $60,000 to $100,000 a year job. The emperor has no clothes. Whether it's neighborhood, small business, tech infrastructure, as Jim mentioned earlier, or training workers. People are not, companies are leaving and they're not coming here because this city has no vision for how to do that broadly and more effectively, and to Jim's point, more efficiently. I want to provide that kind of leadership. Let me just, I got to do this real quick. Look, companies are not leaving Asheville. They're not leaving Charlotte. They're not leaving the Raleigh Triangle, the Research Triangle. They're not leaving Richmond. They're leaving Roanoke. And to John's point, it's about relationships. We Advanced Auto and Norfolk Southern, we grew those companies. Fortune 500 companies. It's like when you mistreat your kids and they don't show up with the grandkids, you gotta know why, right? You can't have it both ways. And with respect to this is a no-brainer. Why are we giving away marketable real estate for $10? Why? It's because we want to be able to use it to entice a handful of people that we want to keep stroking, or that we're talking for our council. They're beholden to a handful of people, not to all of us. And that's what the city council ought to be beholden to. And we ought to put these things on the market, and we ought to let the market have its way with the property. If you can't sell it, then you can look at other creative ways. Again, we do not have a money problem. We have a priorities problem. What we need to do is we need to reform how the city is doing governance. That's what we need to do. And we need to start with reforming the city's budget process. We need, Rain mentioned it, at the same time they raise taxes, and 3 different taxes against on people. They had $26.4 million sitting in the budget line item called undesignated funds. The city gets $69 million a year in various grants that are part of their budget considerations. The problem is they're not maximizing any efficiencies how they're spending our money. I would vote to cut those taxes, all of those taxes that they raised last year, and force them to find other ways to fund the things that they insist they have to fund. That's my posture, and I'm not crazy about raising taxes anyway, because I believe there's money that the city is wasting. Look, if we keep electing the same people, we're going to keep getting what we've been getting. If you go to Roanoke.org, you will see that I have spent time thinking about this in 33 years of working in this community, in the nonprofit sector, in the business sector. I understand some things. And one of the things that you'll see on our 2020 vision plan is the development of a neighborhood development fund. And it will be headed by the stakeholders of that neighborhood. The city is going to spend development money. They spend it on South Jefferson, they spend it downtown, which I agree, I'm not against that. But we've got to be more balanced, and there has to be an overarching vision that protects all of the investment of the homeowners, of the property owners in the neighborhoods that have been left to deteriorate. And so this neighborhood development fund would be initially funded with $5 million and additional $20 million over the next 10 years, and that money would be used to shore up neighborhoods, particularly housing stock and related infrastructure. One of our Roanoke team members will have my bio, which gives you more detailed information about what I've been doing for the last 32 years in this community. And I think that not only eminently qualifies me to be mayor and to provide the kind of visionary leadership that we need, but I also think that it gives me a unique perspective on all of the issues that we've been talking about and the kind of things that we need to do in order to move beyond the status quo thinking that has led us to the point where we are. And so I urge you to go to Roanoke.org and look at the details of our Vision 2020 plan and what we want to help facilitate as mayor here in the city, or certainly initiate discussion about. And I think you would agree once you had all that information that I am particularly qualified for and uniquely qualified for what I'm seeking to do to become your next mayor. Thank you. You know, I talked earlier about the integrity of leadership, and one of the true tests of leadership integrity is when you come down on the side of an issue, standing by that on principle. And what this is about is having a conversation. The mayor is only one vote on city council. He is not 7 votes. And what I am arguing for is a conversation about the kind of city we want to be relative to the immigration issue. And nobody's asking, and nobody, as far as I'm proposing, will ever ask the city police not to do their job. And if anybody says that, they either misunderstand my position or they're demagoguing. Nobody will ever ask. And I am releasing tomorrow a draft of what I would hope that the next city council would look at and talk about. And that's what it's about, is who we want to be as a city. Vision, vision, vision. The problem is that there is no overarching vision that drives this city and what it does. Jim mentioned neighborhood development plans. The city spent tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars during the 90s developing neighborhood plans. We have them. The problem is they ignore them when it's convenient for them. When the city manager wants to get in the car and drive around Southeast with one of the developers and then decide to negotiate selling off land without telling the Southeast neighborhood, that's just not a good way to do business. But you do that because you have no overarching vision that includes the neighborhoods. The neighborhood development plan on OneNote.org is what we're talking about. We're talking about people like the people in this room working in tandem with the neighborhood leadership and looking at their neighborhood plan and using the resources through the neighborhood development fund to facilitate the implementation of that plan relative to commercial development, real estate development, all of it. That's what's got to happen for all across the city. If you're going to create projects like a $9.6 million broadband competition against private business, then you got to figure out a way to pay for it. And what this city does, and what happens when you don't have vision, when vision provides not only accountability but a roadmap to keep you on the road, right? And when you don't have that, you will start doing these things. You ever seen the movie Goodfellas? That's what they've turned the code enforcement people into. Those are the people who twist the arms of the people on the other end to get all this money to pay for all this other stuff they're trying to get done for this handful of people that are not in this room. Yeah. And we have got to put accountability in place. People on that council who are going to hold them accountable for a real vision and sticking to it and being consistent across the spectrum with how you implement your policies and the kind of policies you're coming up with. We need tax relief in this city, and the reason why we're not getting it is because they're too busy trying to pay for their pet projects. And the rest of us are